But folks, point is, in a matter of minutes, we got a trellis, just like that. Hey y'all, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Okay, here we are in the food forest. This is gonna be a fun video, and we're gonna cover more of this stuff. We haven't done so much in the past. Frankly, that's my fault. I didn't think people wanted to see this sort of thing. But here we are. We're gonna give it to you full force, and we think you're gonna dig it. Here we are in the food forest area. Remember, up the hill that way is pretty much an orchard. Down this way, it's an emerging food forest. Still very juvenile, but it's gonna come around. We got rows of trees up through here, all the way down this hill. And in between, we started doing something of a centropic design, where we got our potatoes and stuff down through here. There's melons around the end. Folks, it is going to blow your mind when this thing's all said and done, but we're gonna do something special today. So we got all of our trees, and let me just also point out, you might be thinking, my goodness, that looks like disorder. No, it's not. It actually looks like nature. That's exactly, nothing in nature behind me grows in a straight line. So we kind of mirror our gardens and things of that nature as best we can with nature. Sometimes it makes sense to put things in a straight line. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes better sense to put things on contour. Sometimes it doesn't. Down here, we're taking all this area between the productive and the nitrogen fixing trees and using that area to grow some awesome stuff. Like right here is potatoes. Now follow me down the hill. We got another row of potatoes that we did a different way. Over here we got corn. Some of this stuff is experimental in this area. It may not go exactly the way we planned, but the cool thing is that there is a method to the madness. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. Look here, we got, look at that. Yeah, buddy. We got a lot of those going all over the place out here. But every single space down here, we're gonna grow more food in this area than we ever have before. And the reason is to show you that it's possible in places that you didn't think it was possible. So all these productive, awesome fruit trees are about to have some friends. And today it's a little bit different because we're taking some of this scrap wire. Remember, we just ran fence all around this place. This woven wire, you don't need cattle panel. You don't need a lot of that stuff. You can use what you have on hand. It could be some old broke down, decrepit wire. It doesn't matter. We just need something to grow on this. So we're gonna take this wire. We got 3 strands of it, about 20 feet apiece, maybe 25 in this particular case. We're gonna run them right through here, 1, 2, and 3, and we're gonna grow some cool stuff on it. So you can take these scrap material and you can do this just about anywhere. It doesn't have to be this, it could be any number of things. So with that said, what we're gonna do is real simply, we're gonna run some T-posts from here to there, strap this to the T-post. We might have to anchor it a little bit so it's not falling in on itself, but that's it in a nutshell. And then we'll pick it up here. All right, we're going to tighten this thing up just a little bit. It's not like a regular woven wire fence. I just want it to be a little bit taut, it doesn't have to be crazy. So all I'm going to do is take a T-post, stick it in here like so, kind of anchor it this way, and all I'm going to do, just like so, I'm just going to kind of put a little tension on it while he's tightening that thing up. When it's all said and done, I'm just going to anchor it down here with one of those little corkscrews that I keep using over and over again. This ain't going to hold it real tight, but it's going to be tight enough. All right, just like that. We got it anchored at each end. Kind of keep it, it's not real tight, but it's tight enough. If I need to, I can always push on this a little bit more and get a little more out of it if I want to make it tighter. It's not that big a deal right now. In fact, I think we do want to actually do that. But folks, the point is, in a matter of minutes, we got a trellis, just like that. This particular trellis is about 25 feet long. The other two are about 20. But hey, you know, we just use whatever scraps we can in the areas we need them. And that's exactly how it's going to go. So it just fit within this space. And I'm not going to do anything more. Like I said before, what we have down is triple ground mulch everywhere. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to try one of two ways. I'm going to use this little mattock looking thing that was here when we first moved in. Never really used it for anything, or I'm just going to see if it just makes more sense. Just run my hands down through there. And all I'm going to do, real simple, is take this stuff, all of it, get down to the cardboard, all the way down here. I'm just going to put it on the downhill side. And I just happen to find a little crack here. Actually, the cardboard is being wore out by the, actually there's a little tape on there we didn't get off. The cardboard's being wore out by the worms, which is exactly what's supposed to happen. So I'm just going to make a little slit all the way down here, and on the areas where there is cardboard where it hasn't decomposed, I'm just going to run my blade down through it. And then once we do that, we're going to fill it up with some of the soil, and then Michelle's going to come back in between and put those whatever she's planting. I think it's going to be beans by and large, all the way down through all these trellises. So through this area, it's kind of cool when you think about it. Flanked on each side by trees and all the support species, blueberries, comfrey, wonderful things. And then right here down the middle in this space that would ordinarily, in most orchard settings or food forest settings, would just be a walkway, is now being used for something cool. And the reason I don't want this too permanently is because as the food forest emerges, this thing is going to be in the way. So it's here in a temporary state. All right, just so you know, as a little side note, these things are oriented north and south. East and west, we would have had a problem in terms of how the sun falls on this property, because one part would be shaded, but frankly, that was all part of the design because it just makes sense. We got aisles in between each row of trees, so it only makes sense to put it this way. It just happens to fall north and south. Sun's over here right now, and it'll keep going that way until the day is over. So each side will generally get about the same amount of sun, and these trees aren't big enough to block anything out just yet. All right, here we go. We got soil all the way down in those little areas. And a little side note, all the cardboard that we have underneath this, it's amazing, folks. And this is how you know whether or not your soil is alive. When there is almost no cardboard left and you see tons of worms underneath because there weren't any before. Based on all the dewormer and all the things that were going on to this property before we got here. So these things can be remediated. They just take a little bit of time and a little bit of good management. So with that said, we put some soil. We basically pulled everything away, put the soil down in there. Now it's time to get down to business. So what do we got here?
Well, I call them beans. There's some green beans, and then there's also some dried beans, southern peas. We've got some yard-long asparagus beans that I saw sow the land plant, so I want to try some of those. So we got a little bit of everything.
All right, so they're going to climb up this stuff, and that's really it in a nutshell. But the cool thing about all this is everything is interplanted in between our trees, folks. Just telling you, all those little areas where you think are useless, they really aren't. They aren't. And we're going to prove it to you this year. We're going to show you how it's done. We've done it last year in other places. We're going to take that syntropic design on the road down to the food forest, and it's time to get it on. All right, here we go. About 7:30 at night, and you know, we do this stuff in between the raindrops, so to speak. So we got fires to put out here, fires to put out there, but they're great fires. So we got back to this and we got everything planted. Michelle got it all done, went through, watered it in. And folks, just so you know, I'll just kind of walk over here just a tad bit. We got more space to use up too. Pretty much everything in this food forest from where I'm standing all the way back this way is pretty well planted. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. And we're going to grow more food this year than we ever have. And folks, if you want to know how it was done before, we did a video previously with Michelle and William where they talked about what they did, what they put in up here. So folks, from there all the way down, giant syntropic, cool food planted right here in this food forest, and it's easy to do. So don't be afraid to go out there and give it a shot. Just like my buddy over at Sovereign Village Project, Matt, I just was watching one of his videos earlier when we were eating, and he was talking about the nature of the food and the way things are getting right now. There's never been a more important time for you to grow food. And we're going to cover more of that stuff in terms of preparedness and homestead security and things like that in the future, in very, very near future. So for right now, it's a wrap, and we're going to move on. We're about to call it a day once we water everything else in, and that'll be it. So remember, subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell, all those things. You know what I'm talking about. Tell everybody that you know about what we're doing. Evangelize this information yourself, but most importantly, do it yourself. Till next time, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. We'll see you next time.